I hadn't watched Elijah Mitchell's college tape since last year's draft. And this morning I watched some of Elijah Mitchell's college tape because what I said to you before was watching Ty Davis Price. It just gave me the same immediate 2-clip reaction to the way I felt watching Elijah Mitchell last year. And it was as I remembered it. It looks.
Wouldn't you say the difference, though, too, is like every single game, it's like, oh, they're playing Ole Miss, who's 10th in the country. Oh, they're playing Alabama. Oh, they're playing Texas A&M.
Right.
And he is 15, 20 yards down the field. Do you know what's crazy? The craziest thing about LSU? They had they had more players drafted than Alabama this year. They had the second most players drafted in the conference. Like I just thought they sucked. Now, not that I didn't assume they didn't have NFL players on the team, but they just have random running backs getting drafted in the third round. Because when they drafted him, I was like, I didn't watch that much LSU football. You throw on, just type his name into YouTube. He is lowering his shoulder on the sideline like 20 yards down the field with like multiple SEC defenders. This guy, I was told by a guy that really liked him, thought he was by far the hardest running back in the draft. Like the guy that just ran the hardest. And you just see like he runs hard. It's not just when the offensive line parts like the Red Sea and you can just hit the hole. Like, that's pretty basic. Honestly, teams don't give you that much credit on just a wide open hole and you just hitting it with your speed. But like, what happens when contact happens? And this fucking guy runs his ass off through contact. No wonder Ed got run out. I mean, you have the second most players drafted in the conference. I mean, I think from the outside, it's like, yeah, it's going a little weird, but he just won the national championship. To them, it's like, we should be like minimum 10 wins every year. And then you realize, yeah, they probably should.
Well, did you see they just had to pay a bunch of money to keep their Keyshawn, is it Butte? Remember him?
He a running back?
The receiver.
Oh,
number one. Really good player.
Sweet player.
They just had to
was he planning to do the Jordan Addison thing?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. He was going to leave, and somebody stepped up to pay him before he departed. So I think that's part of why you get like Texas is the worst of both worlds right now. They're not winning and they're not producing talent. LSU everyone was mad because they're like, look at all this talent we have. How is this possible?
I know, it's crazy. If I'm Texas, it's like we're cutting all these checks and we're losing to Kansas. We're losing to Kansas. What is going on? That to me, it's the triple worst.
Losing to Kansas.
No talent.
Applebee's guy made Applebee's guy is good though. That kid can play.
Game winner.
Yeah,
that was a cool moment. The guy, cool. Texas lost to Kansas.
Kansas, John fought last year. Kansas is coming around. I'm telling you what.
And then they didn't have a player drafted. Do you think it's the worst? It's got to be one of the worst, 18-month stretches in the program's history. Lose to Kansas, not a player drafted. The way they lost Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean 5-7. They did go 5-7 back-to-back years in 15 and 16.
They had a coach's monkey
fired Charlie Strong,
who bit a kid.
Yeah. I mean,
you're blaming the kid.
That's bad. I mean, I don't think you're supposed to go back there and put his hand in the cage.
Pole assassin. Yeah,
not allowed to say that, but
there was a sign said don't touch the monkey. What if the kid's 5
can't read?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
5-7. Do you think
5-7?
Do you think Sark's on the hot seat? Like if he went,
hell yeah, he is.
Would he get fired?
I don't know if he get fired, but to answer your question, hell yeah, he's on the hot seat. Are you kidding me? At Texas?
Well, if he's on the hot seat, then what would his minimum wins have to be? Have to go above 500.
8,
right?
7. I mean, does he get fired if he wins 7?
That's what I said. If he goes 6-6, is he getting fired? 6-6 would be ugly.
He might. Now they also got that kid Quinn Ewers. I don't know if he's playing this year, but
yeah, they do. They went to Ohio State. That's like 15, but he got $1 million, and then he's already transferred. Why are they getting so many? They get some.
Well,
weird
remember
guys.
he had to leave. Texas doesn't let you make money in high school. There's like a rule. So he left. He's like, well, fuck, I can go make $1 million. Smart. Like, I'll come back to Texas later. It's where I always wanted to play. So
what if Sark lands Jordan Addison? He hasn't.
Why would you? If you're Jordan Addison,
but he hasn't committed there yet, has he?
No, but he was playing catch with Bryce Young the other day
at Alabama.
In L.A.
Do you think? Why wouldn't Alabama get him?
Why wouldn't Alabama get him?
What if Nick just gets him? Like, oh yeah, good one, Lincoln.
Well, he's friends with Caleb too. That's the other one. How about Pole Assassin? Name of the pod. Do you guys find it interesting that Mike Shanahan met with Ty Davis Price? So here's here's part of that question, right? For people that missed that came up.
I
Saturday
did. Guy
night.
didn't.
What's that?
I thought it was a little weird when I saw the quote.
Well, the more so what happened was Saturday night, somebody I don't remember who asked the question, like Ty Davis Price told the media he had met with Mike Shanahan on his visit.
Yeah.
So then it comes up to Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, and Shanahan's like, wait, what? Kyle's initial reaction was, I don't know what you guys are talking about. And then John kind of jumps in and was like, oh, yeah, that was Mike just happened to be here that day when we brought guys through on visits.
Yeah.
But then he made a joke about Mike's in his office for 13 hours a day. Ha ha ha. You usually got to go to him. So do you think it meant something that Mike Shanahan met with Ty Davis Price?
Well, I don't think it's inconceivable. Like Mike Shanahan clearly in the office. So we could go, is it a big deal that he's at the office? Could it be draft time? He's there maybe helping Kyle do some scheme stuff. He might be helping Kyle draw up some plays for the season with Trey. He's at the office. The way a visit works, right? Someone picks him up at the airport, brings him around. He has an itinerary from 8 a.m. or whenever he shows up. You know, if he flies in at night, someone picks him up at the hotel or whatever the next day, brings him in the morning, maybe gets breakfast at the facility, meets immediately with the running back coach, maybe the offensive coordinator down there too. You know, for Kyle, it might not be Kyle, but send some other offensive assistants. Then he's either going to spend a lot of time with John or Kyle, segment it. But this whole time, a guy like me or a scout is kind of taking him around, right? You kind of wait for him, and then because he doesn't know where he's going, and you're kind of taking him away. So if Kyle, let's say Kyle spent an hour with him, like just personal conversation, maybe watch a little film, whatever he's going to do. He leaves Kyle's office. Kyle goes on to do other shit, doesn't know where he goes. Now, to me, the only red flag is like, what really is Mike doing there? Because I could see it be simply like maybe Mike going down to get a soda and they run into each other at the cafeteria. Or is it as simple as like they're walking by, the door's open, and he's like, hey, coach, you know, the younger guy trying to just be in with the Shanahan family. You want to meet Ty? And he's like, oh, bring him in. I met a million players. So it can be nothing, or it could be something, not necessarily that he met him, because it's pretty easy to like run into someone, but like, what's he doing there?
Well, yeah, I think
I don't think it's weird him meeting him at all. I bet this guy met so many people on a visit, he would never even be able to point out a lineup.
The thing that would be weird is if on the itinerary there's 20 minutes where he sits down with Mike Shanahan.
And I think it's pretty clear that's not the case.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. That's what would be weird. I don't think it's weird that Mike Shanahan hangs around. His kid runs an NFL team. He is football junkie Mike Shanahan, who, remember, Kyle has said this.
He has an office, though.
Mike didn't just like leave the Washington football team because he was I'm ready to hang it up. Like Kyle has said, like, I don't like that my dad's career ended that way, coaching, like that's how it went down.
Well, he literally tried to get back in with the Niners when they interviewed him.
That's right. That's right. But previously. So it's not like Mike just the bug left him.
No. Do you think it's a little weird he has an office?
No. It's a
I
big,
don't really
I don't think it's that weird.
I don't either.
I mean, I don't think it's weird.
I don't either. But
I do think
your
it's
theory's always been you think Kyle's insecure about it.
I think Kyle knows that when people are aware that Mike is around, that people in Kyle's mind jump to bigger conclusions than what the reality is. And so I don't think Kyle loves everyone knowing how involved Mike is, because Mike, while is involved, Mike is not pulling the strings from behind the scenes. And I think my impression of just the way Kyle talks about it is Kyle just doesn't love it being public, because then people suggest that Mike is doing. What was the story? No, was it the quarterback thing last year? Was that what it was? The draft?
Yes, that Mike Shanahan wanted Mac Jones.
Yeah, so I think that's Mike Shanahan was the one telling all the media, right? Well, that was so. I think Kyle just doesn't love it because it creates just a headache for him that he doesn't. There's no way for him to prove that Mike Shanahan isn't the one calling the shots. And the other part of it that I think makes it hard for Kyle is, of course, he listens to his dad. Of course, he hears his dad's opinions. He can't sit up there and be like, I ignore everything my dad says. He's a crazy guy, because it's not true. Mike has great wisdom. But if he says that, then it's like, so is Mike telling you what to do? So it's really, I think it's a lose-lose for Kyle to talk about it publicly, even though he loves having his dad around, and his dad. And don't forget, it's also unique. Mike coached John Lynch. So Mike is no interloper. Like, Mike's not in the way.
Yeah, there's not like some insecurity with his GM. Yeah, I would imagine there are times when John wants him around more than Kyle. Who knows? And that could be untrue,
maybe,
but
I
it
don't
wouldn't shock. John Lynch loves Mike Shanahan, right? Loves Mike Shanahan. And clearly, love Kyle would be strong, but clearly their relationship's really pretty strong. It's just different because you play for a guy, you kind of get sentimental as time goes on. When you work with a guy, there's just an ebb and flow of life. But I understand where Kyle, even though it's like, I think he's lucky in the market we live in. Like, no one really cares. If he was in New York, Philly, or Boston, or one of those, it would be, anytime it would come up, I could see him like trying to avoid it at all costs. It'd be a thing.
If I told you Mike Shanahan was Mike Middlekoff and 2-time Super Bowl winning coach, still wanted to be around but couldn't get a head coaching job, and he was there as a consultant in the organization, no one would say anything.
Well, think about this. I'm a fucking podcaster. I owe my parents absolutely everything I have in my life. Can you imagine being a head coach in the NFL when your dad literally was also a head coach and you go, I would not have, you would think this, I would never have gained this knowledge or be sitting where I'm sitting if it wasn't for my dad, because I love him. And then from a professional standpoint, he is my idol and my mentor. I think Kyle's even said that before.
Yeah,
like he
of course
idolizes his
idol.
dad.
He has called him, yes.
Not from a like the way we think about our parents, the way he thinks about as a parent, being a good parent, being hard, raising him, the morals and stuff. As a football coach, that's his professional and personal idol. So yeah, but he's also like, do you think he's pretty lucky? He's with one of the biggest brands in the NFL, but it's not that crazy, right? Washington was pretty nuts. Like, that was a crazy time. And I think it kind of scarred the family. I think it does piss them off. And, I think at their core, they actually have some parallels to the Middlekoff family. They can be negative, when you think Mike, he's a little short, edgy guy. Kyle, isn't Mr. Happy.
That's why I like Bumgarner
than Mike.